Hey there, good morning. It is Rachel Honey, and I am your host for Frequency as a Love Language. Today is not a very happy frequency day, but I want to get all of these days so that you guys understand what I do and that I'm not always happy and always positive all the time. It's not possible balance. So I did try to get the hair to lay down a little bit, but we're still training the grow out. So you're getting pretty raw this morning. I tweaked my knee somehow. I'm assuming in bed. It would have been 2 nights ago now. It started hurting about midday yesterday. It's been right at about 24 hours. Not sure, a little less than 24 hours right now. Not sure exactly what happened, but my guess is trying to play acrobats in a bed with a 40-pound dog that doesn't have hair and likes to Velcro. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it probably had something to do with that. But I tweaked my knee. So I have what we call a new acute injury. I don't have knee issues. I don't have knee pain. I don't have any chronic knee issues. So I tweaked my knee. I did it while I was sleeping, but there is some swelling. There's some pain. It hurts to put weight on it. So we're going to do FSM on it today. And I am going to treat it as if it's a new acute injury, because for me, it is an acute injury, meaning it just happened. So acute injuries, you break a wrist, you break an ankle, you break a toe, you tear or break anything, tendon, ligament, bone, anything, you tear or break anything, it is an acute injury. If you fall down the steps outside, your porch steps, and you have, a big contusion bruise on your butt, that's an acute injury. If you have surgery cutting into you, that is an acute injury. So I have very, very good experiences with every hands-on acute injury I have treated. I have not yet treated any acute injuries distantly because nobody has said, hey, I have an injury. Can you treat me distantly? So I'm definitely open to practice. The acute injuries that I have treated, torn tendon and ligament, torn bone, bruise, bleeding, contusion, falling down the steps, all of that. I've treated a couple of different people after surgery, and they have been back up and raring to go in less than a week with almost no narcotic. I know when I had my surgery, I didn't have any narcotics after the actual surgery itself. And I just helped out my goddaughter, and I think she took one the day of and one the day after, and that was it. We had her off of them after the day after surgery. So to me, this is an absolute miracle machine. I wish we could use it more. I understand why we don't. I don't agree with it, but not something we're going to be discussing. So I just kind of wanted to talk you through what I was going to do in treating my knee today. Starting with taking the day off. We'll be doing whatever we can do from the bed so that I can ice it, because icing, resting, elevating is huge. So we're going to rest it, elevate it, and ice it. And then we are also going to put the microcurrent on it, and we're going to run through the acute injury protocols. So there's a few, and we're going to run through them, and I'll show you the setup, and I'll kind of talk about each one and why I'm doing it. Maybe go through a little bit more on FSM since we'll have the time, since I'm not doing anything else today apparently. But I just wanted to add this video in since it happened, so that you can learn a little bit more about what FSM does and what we can do with it. Even if you're not interested in distant healing with FSM, there are practitioners all over the world. So look to Dr. Carol McMakin's FSM page. I believe it's just frequency specific microcurrent, if I remember correctly. But if you look specifically for Dr. McMakin's page, she has a very good practitioner listing for all of the people who have gone through and taken her course and understand how to use the microcurrent. She does have a practitioner listing, so you can go in there and see where your closest practitioner is to you. So we're going to get started. Okay, so we have got the microcurrent device out, and I'm using my Mend technology device. Many different people make the devices. You can have them for just regular home use. I have one of those devices as well. You can also have them professional use, which is what this one's for. It actually lets me run frequencies manually. So I can specifically run a channel A frequency and a channel B frequency. Any frequency that I want to, I don't have to utilize the protocols that are already pre-programmed. However, those protocols are great and I use them all the time, and we're going to be using the pre-programmed protocols today for the acute injuries. So let's get everything out, let's talk through the pieces, and let's get set up, and then we'll get started. We have several ways of hooking up to the body. First of all, we have gone through, so this is a 2-channel microcurrent device, meaning that it delivers microcurrents of amps instead of the tens unit, which is thousands of amps, and you can it actually impacts. You put those sticky pads on you with a tens unit, you turn it on, you crank it up, and your muscles sit there and bounce and uncontrollably contract and reflex. I very seldomly do I recommend tens units now that I know what tens units do to the body. But so it's a 2-channel system. We're going to treat tissues and issues with those tissues. So I am going to take the 2 ends that I have and I'm going to plug it into the back of my device. It's color coordinated, so it's easy. I love my colors. I do, because this is a professional device, I can use the regular contacts that we're going to use. I also have more for very specific targeted areas, or if I were an esthetician and I wanted to do it in facials, more so than I can do it in facials now. Right now, I just kind of put a whole cloth over the face and we treat the whole face if we want to do the anti-aging for the facials. But there are metal probes that I don't know if you've ever really seen, but if you look at some old school that are attached to a machine, I have the ability to do that too. I don't. I'm not a licensed esthetician. I don't want to be a licensed esthetician, but I have that ability. So we're going to attach to our channel A and channel B. And then we have 2 options. So we have alligator clips, and thankfully I have the new set. So the new set, there's usually 4 leads. And my old one, I had to have 4 sticky pads. But now they're so cool, they piggyback off of each other. So now I only need 2. And when I do distant work, as you guys have seen in my FSM video, I use alligator clips with little metal teeth, and I attach it to a metal bowl so that all of the current is moving and conducive. I am going to put this on my knee, so I want it targeted to just the small area of my knee. If it were a larger area, I would still use the alligator clips. Like, let's say I was working with the spine, I would get wet towels, wring them out really good, damp towels. And then you attach the alligator clips, and the towel is going to touch more, because I would put it all the way around the neck and attach one of the alligator clips. And for the spine, I would put the other one all the way around the abdomen, right around where the legs, and basically the farthest point of the trunk that I could get it on before I started getting to the legs. And then you plop the alligator clips with the metal teeth on the wet towel, and then everywhere the towel. So then you're getting just a more broader range with the alligator clips. Because I'm doing my knee, I'm going to take the alligator clips off, and everybody that I work on, we have sticky pads. So I am going to hook up the sticky pads, and then we are going to place them on the body, on my knee. I'll show you where I place them, and then we are going to go get some ice and some coffee, and we are going to get comfortable for the next few hours. So see you back in just a few minutes. All right, guys, we are attaching the leads, so I'm going to get access to my knee. And when we attach the leads, so again, we've got two ways. We have, let's call this fire, sun kind of colors, and let's call this earth colors. So when we, so we're going to talk about the knee, and we want to treat the entire knee area. So there is a top of the knee area, there is a bottom of the knee area, there is a front of the knee area, there is a back of the knee area. And we're just talking knee, but this could be wrist, this could be spine, this could be neck, this could be pancreas, this could be ankle. Whatever it is, we have top and bottom, front and back. So we always want to put the sun, think of sky, sun, on the top part and the earth on the bottom part, so that we are encapsulating between the two. But we don't just want to do both on top. So now we also want to put one, not just on top and bottom this way, but top and bottom the other way. So we're going to put the earth one on the top front of our knee and under our knee. And then we're going to put the sun one above the knee, but behind the knee. So now we have everything coming this way and everything coming this way. So I take my sticky pads and either an alcohol pad or some hand sanitizer. You just want to make sure that those can stick and get all the oils off of you. So I've got hand sanitizer right here. That's what we're using. So you're going to kind of let that dry for a hot minute. And we take our sticky pads. They're sticky. Sticky. And we attach the sticky pad to the electrode. And then, as soon as that's dry, take the sticky pad and put it where it needs to go. And the whole sticky pad is going to deliver the current. And then we're going to take our other sticky pad and our other joiny point. I always like to make sure that they're in there nice and good. And then we're going to take that one and we're going to put it underneath the knee. So now we're collecting the knee from behind it, in front of it, above it, and below it. Okay. So that's the setup. I'm going to go ahead and ouch. I'm going to go ahead and get comfortable. Make sure the leads go up the pants and don't do anything that they don't need to be doing. Make sure that I don't pull and unsticky anything. All right, I'm gonna go get my ice and then we're gonna get started. Okay, we've got everything set up here. And I just kind of want to show with the knee, and I got ice on it, and I'm about to wrap it in that blanket and cover myself up because I'm gonna get chilly. And I'm hooked up to the FSM, and we are about to go ahead and get it started. And I've got a few protocols to run, so I was going to talk through the protocols, and then maybe at one point we will, yep, I definitely need to get covered up, already getting cold. Okay, make sure that ice stays on there really good. Make sure the elevation, I've got my bed lifted up, my back's up, and my front's up. Thankfully, I have an adjustable bed. Apologies that you're getting the videos from the bed this morning. Okay, so we're going to start the first acute injury protocol. It is called, Trauma pre-treat. Ooh, I got some tingles going in there. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I mean, they're not bad. I just can feel they're just little pricks. But I can feel the energy moving. Okay, so we're doing the first one that I always do is trauma pre-treat, stop the bleeding. So when we talk traumas and we talk FSM, so breaking a bone, tweaking a knee, having surgery, there are 4 or 5 there's several protocols. Depending on what it is. If we're talking surgery, there's more because after the acute injury protocols, then I go in and I run, I clear the anesthesia out of the system. I clear the narcotics out of the system. There's ways to detox the body after surgery, so there's more things involved when there's a surgery. But when we're just talking an acute injury, the very first thing that we want to do is we want to stop the bleeding. And in almost any injury, if you get a bruise, there was bleeding. If you're bleeding, there was bleeding. But just because you're not pouring blood or dripping blood, or blood is not coming out of what is going to cause a scab later, you still have internal bleeding. Even if you just trip and fall and tweak your knee, if there's redness, if there's swelling, if there's inflammation, if there's pain, there's usually some type of internal bleeding. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to stop the bleeding. We want to stop any capillaries that have popped, any bruising that has initiated. We want to stop the bleeding. So that's what I'm doing right now. It's a 20-minute protocol. So this is going to run for 20 minutes and then I'll be back for the next one. But we want to stop the bleeding because that's the first thing in healing. Once we have the bleeding stopped, we then obviously send that to all of the cells saying, hey, no bleeding at all. Then we want to go in and start rebooting and resetting and fixing whatever happened during that acute injury. And typically the same things happen. You're going to get bleeding. You are typically always going to have myofascial pain, which is basically pain of all the connective tissues because everything is connected. Your skin is connected to tissue that's then connected to the arteries and the muscles and the ligaments and the bones. And in order for your body to move, everything is connected to everything else through a web of sticky tissues and things. So you will absolutely have myofascial pain. It's all just the extra tissues around the area. In some specific circumstances, if it's an ankle or a wrist, you might have ligament and tendon issues. So there's a ligament and a tendon protocol for acute injuries. There's a fracture protocol if we know that something's fractured. I'm not going to run that today because I know I didn't fracture my knee. And I believe there's also a specific knee protocol, which we are going to run today. That goes a little bit deeper because the knee has bursas and fat pads that are not in all of the other tissues of the body. They're only in the major joints of the body. And those can get damaged as well. And if we don't set those frequencies right, then the overall healing doesn't happen. So we are running the first protocol now. I can feel it. It's getting cold. So hopefully we have good things to say at the end. The last thing I do want to say in this portion of the video is that I would always ask that whomever I'm treating, including myself, that I do a pain rating before and after. So I want to go ahead before this gets any better. I want to go ahead and rate my knee so that I can do it again at the end. When I do my rating scale, so it's 7 or below, definitely, because I can walk on it without crying. I can do things. It's annoying when I walk on it. It's a little painful. So I don't, in my age, if we don't take care of tweaks, they turn into long-term issues. So I want to take care of it now. But it's not horrific. So it would definitely be less than a 7 because I can function completely. It is definitely annoying me, so I would say it's above a 3 because it is annoying me. It is making me want to do something about it. But it's not too terribly bad. It's more, I just wanted to go ahead and get it before it got bad, just in case I did tweak it, and it gave me an opportunity to make a video and explain FSM more. So that's what we're doing. So I think I'm probably gonna give this one, I'm gonna give this one a 6. It's a little bit more than halfway annoying, but it's not nearly incapacitating. So we're gonna give it a 6 right now. And then our hope is that after the FSM, that pain has lowered from a 6. So we've got about 14 and a half more minutes on this protocol, which is the pre-treat, which is to stop bleeding. Always the first one I run in acute. So I will be back and we will talk about the next one when we're running it and maybe some more information. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. Hey there, we are back. We're coming up on the last few seconds of the first protocol. Here we go. And now we're going to run the second protocol, which is trauma, acute myofascial pain. So this is what we were just talking about. This one's an hour. This one is going to go in and treat all of the different tissues that could be in any part of the body. So there's the connective tissue, there's some muscle, there's arteries, there's all sorts of things just in this little hand, exactly where, like if I wanted to treat this bone, there's so many things between my fingers and the actual bone itself that can be treated with FSM. So we are doing all of the myofascial, all of the little intricacies around it now. So this is the second protocol I'm going to run. This one's an hour. So we're sitting at an hour and 20 minutes now for 2 protocols. And just to kind of talk a little bit about the acute injuries. So I have only treated acute injuries hands-on, meaning I actually have the device stuck to the person's physical body somehow. I have not tried treating acute injuries distantly because I've just not had anybody go, hey, I just slipped and fell. Can you run the acute protocols on me? People just don't know to do that. But if you happen to be watching this and you get an injury and you want me to try it, you're already sitting at home recuperating. We like to say in the FSM biz, can't hurt, might help. You never know. But I do have, where I've worked with people hands-on with acute issues that I actually have testimonials on. We did myself recently that I have treated. I treated my goddaughter after her surgery. And again, she took 2 narcotics the day after she was done. I didn't even have to run the clearing of the narcotics the second time. When I ran it the first time on day 2, she had already taken the last one and it was good to go. Because it was surgery, I also ran the clear anesthesia on her. I wouldn't do that on my knee because I haven't had any narcotics or anesthesia to have to clear out. So with an acute injury, you want to try to get, ideally, you want to get the FSM within 8 hours. Between you, me, and the gatepost, I've done it within 8 hours from like a major surgery or a major injury. I've also waited as long as an entire week and dealt with it, hoping whatever was going to get better, and it didn't. So then a whole week later, I ran the acute protocols and it still worked and I still got better and it still healed. So, but ideally it's between the first 8 hours and the first 24 hours. I'm within the first 24 hours. And you want to run several protocols. There's at least 2. The first 2, the stop bleeding and the myofascial, and then depending on what it is. So because mine's a knee, I am also going to run the joint one because there's a ton of joints in the knee. The knee is a major joint, as well as the knee because I happen to have a knee protocol for acute issues because it happens all the time. So there's a specific knee protocol. So I'm going to run those 2 in addition. Because joints and knee have ligaments in them already. I'm not going to go through the running of the ligament in addition to, because I'm going to cover all of that in the knee and the joint probably twice. So I'm not going to run the ligament one. But let's say it was, it was a bone here. So I did treat a radial fracture here in the bone, not near a major joint, not at the wrist, not at the elbow. So it was in the middle. I would not run the joint protocols on those, but I would run the ligament one, because there are ligaments here. Ligaments are the things that hold bone to bone. And guess what? There's two bones right here. So guess what's holding bone to bone? So I would do that. So I've treated surgeries, my own surgery. We treated myself as well as my goddaughter. Both of them, I mean, less than a week, up and feeling amazing, even though, we were supposed to have like 2 weeks of rest. This bone, orthopedics said that it would take 4 weeks in the cast. We had it out of the cast in 4 months in the cast. We had it out of the cast in 2 months. Another story, my friend had fallen down steps in winter, huge contusion for her because it was her whole body. Instead of just treating the area, we threw her in the bathtub and threw the leads into the bathtub, so every bit of the bath water was conductive. And so she took like a 2.5 hour bath that night, if I remember correctly, because it took 2.5 hours to get through the protocols. And I just kept she had bubbles everywhere, so I just kept walking in, changing the protocol, walked out, set a timer, rinse, repeat. But she has fallen like that before, and before we even left 2 weeks into our trip, she was already feeling amazingly better. And she said normally that would take months to go down and heal. So I do have lots of hands-on experience. Again, not as much remotely, but if we're talking energy, and if we understand how quantum physics works, and that energy is energy and can be, I can send energy to you, then it's very close to the same things. And so why can't I send this to you as well? So that's what we've been working and practicing on. And I do well with emotions. And I have done well with chronic, with some. I've only treated a couple. Chronic issues, like chronic shoulder and chronic back. I've had some success there. We don't do like a whole lot of one-on-one stuff, so it's not like, success, but any drop in the numbers. And just as a kind of a feel in, I'm on the second protocol only, but after the first protocol ran, I can already feel, I would say I'm probably at least down to a 5 now, if not down to a 4 already from a 6, just because of that first protocol that ran. So yeah, we've got a couple of more I know that I'm going to run today. And I've got a little bit more information that I would like to share with you. But yep. So if you happen to hurt yourself, have an acute issue, ooh, sorry, let me know, coffee's kicking in. Let me know and we can play around with the frequencies. We'll be back in 52 minutes for the next one. Hey there. Okay, so we are back again. We have run the first 2 protocols. We did the stop bleeding and the pre-treat. And then we did the myofascial. So now I've been at it for 1 hour and 20 minutes. And pain reduction is significant. So now I'm going to make a decision based on the type of injury. So we can move into fracture, which I know I did not fracture anything, so I'm going to skip that one. We have joints, which because it's the knee, that's the next one I'm going to run. Then I have one for the knee, so I'm going to run that one as well. If it wasn't the knee or a joint, I would want to run ligament and sprain. But because I'm already treating the joints and the knee, I know ligaments are going to be treated in that, so I'm going to skip that one. Eventually, if there's an open skin wound, like with surgery or road rash, or if you actually cut yourself, then I would want to run the skin wound healing, because then it puts all those frequencies into the topical areas of the skin. And then if there's the spinal column involved, there are programs for acute trauma for the spine. So we're going to branch off now, and we're going to focus just on the knee. Already significant pain reduction. Still have it iced up, still sitting the way that I have been for the last hour and 20 minutes. So now I'm going to run the joint, and then after that I'm going to run knee, and then I'm going to be done for the day. So we're going to run joint first. I'm going to go ahead and get that started. It's an hour and 4 minutes. So now we're sitting at 2 hours and 24 minutes into the protocol. Now again, now we're talking about knee. It's an hour and 20 minutes for just for nothing major. So no cut, no skin wound, no major ligament issues. So like you bump into the wall pretty hard and you're getting a bruise and it just kind of really hurts you. That would be great for the first 2 hour and 20 minutes. You're going to feel as good as new. Because mine's the knee, I'm going to have to add in 2 more. And so that's what we're doing. And if there were other considerations like fractures or skin wounds or spine, then we would have to add in even more time. But I'm telling you it works. So for this little segment, I'm going to go deeper into FSM, and right now we're running the acute trauma for the joints protocol, so not necessarily for the knee. I'm probably going to get a lot of the same ones in the knee as in the joints, because a knee is a major joint, but we're talking shoulder, hip, ankle, knee. And then I'm going to go even further because the knee has fat pads that aren't in most other places of the body. And then the knee also have bursas that are not in all of the other joints, but in most of the other joints. So I'm going to do them both. I'm probably going to get a double whammy on some of the stuff. Probably could just do the knee and I might get a lot of the same things as the joints, but I might just get a couple of extra protocols in the joint. So we're going to kind of talk through how a protocol. So right now we are talking about joints, the joint protocol. So protocols are put together by people who have been doing this way longer than me, and they have found things that absolutely work. And so why mess with anything when it's already working? So for the most part, if there's a protocol, that's what I use. If there's not a protocol, that's when we get to start playing around with different tissues and different issues, and just we get kind of free play. But we always try to hit what we can hit with the protocols that we have. And so the protocols are built in a way to build upon each other and to hit the right cover time, and to hit the right issues and tissues with the right frequencies at the right time. So in this hour and 4 minutes, there are 24 different protocols that run, totaling an hour and 4 minutes. I'm not going to go through them all, but I am going to go through some of them just so that you can understand how the frequencies are going in and rebooting and resetting and how they're working outward. I do not know by heart all of the frequencies because they come across in channel A 18, channel B 62, that runs for 4 minutes. Channel A changes to 40, channel B changes to 116, and that runs for 4 minutes. Then channel A changes to 40, channel B changes to 783, and that runs for 4 minutes. Those are the frequencies for the channel A, the channel B. So I don't have those memorized. I do know 40 is inflammation. I don't have them memorized yet, so I do have to kind of toggle back and forth between the lines of the protocol that are running and what those frequency numbers actually relate and specify to. So that first one, which is probably still running right now. Yep, I'm still in. I've got 3 seconds left. It is now just changed to number 2. So that first one that just ran for the 4 minutes was channel A 18, channel B 62. Those are the 2 frequencies that were running at the same time, and that ran for 4 minutes. So channel A 18 is hemorrhage leaking. So that is going to stop anything that's leaking, hemorrhaging, or bleeding. That is the issue that was running. And then 62 is the artery or the muscle belly. They're both the same thing. So the very first 4 minutes, it was stopping any hemorrhaging or leaking in the arteries. So that's the first thing that protocol, it ran for 10 minutes. This is the joint protocol. Now, when I told you just a second ago, it flipped over. Now it's running 4 minutes, channel A 40, channel B 116. 40, I do know. 40 is inflammation. 116 is the immune system. So for 4 minutes, it's going to run inflammation into the immune system. So when we have a histamine response and we start to get red and swelling in that injury area, it gets warm, it gets hot, it gets throbby, it turns red, it starts to swell, it emits heat. All of that is an immune system response. So we're going to reduce inflammation into the immune system. Then we're going to switch over for 40 minutes. And I'm pretty sure I know this one, but I'm going to make sure. Yep. So we're going to do channel A40, which is inflammation. So we're going to reduce inflammation, into channel 783, which is the periosteum. So the periosteum is the covering around the bone that keeps it safe and cushiony. But if you impact and jar a bone, you are going to impact that periosteum, and that periosteum is so full of nerve endings, it is very painful. So we want to now reduce inflammation in the periosteum. We're going to run that for 4 minutes, and that should be happening soon. It looks like I have 1:45 left of the second one, which was inflammation into the immune system. Then we're going to flip for 4 minutes and run inflammation into the periosteum. And it goes in order to build off of each other. So now we're going to flip for 2 minutes for a little bit each. And we're going to run 294 for channel A. And 294 is part of the basics. It's trauma. It is just a traumatic event. So it's treating trauma in 480. And I wish this was in numerical order. 480 is joint capsule. So we're doing the joint protocol. So now we're treating for 2 minutes trauma in the joint capsule. Then we're going to stay in the joint capsule, but we're going to switch to 124 in channel A. 124 is one of the basic ones. 124 is torn and broken. So now we're going to be looking at we're going to run the repair anything that may be torn or broken in the joint capsule. Then we're going to switch it up and we're going to stay on repairing anything that may be torn and broken. But now we're moving into 157 for the tissue, and 157 is cartilage around the joint surface. So now we're running we're going to repair anything that may be torn and broken in the cartilage around the joint surface. We're going to run that for 2 minutes. We're going to stay on torn and broken, but then we're going to move to 783, torn and broken in the periosteum. Then we're going to move to 100, which is ligament, so anything that could be torn or broken in a ligament. Then we're going to move to 191, which is tendons, so anything that could be torn or broken in tendons, and repair any of that. Then we're going to move back to the joint capsule for 2 minutes each, but we're going to run 321, which is one of the basics, and it's going to treat any paralysis that might shock, anything like that might have happened to the joint capsule. And then staying in the joint capsule, but we're going to move to the issue, channel A being allergy, so any kind of immune or allergy response that could have happened to that impact or that acute area. Then we're going to flip back over to inflammation, so 40 on channel A, and we're going to run for 4 minutes. We're going to do that into the periosteum, again, treating that periosteum for inflammation, which we did for 4 minutes before, but now we're going to do it for 4 minutes again because we've gone through and run all of that stuff inside of the joint capsules, and we've run all of that torn and broken. So that's only the first 13 of the 24 protocols that are going to run, but that's kind of how they build on each other and the different issues and tissues that the different protocols work on. So it's kind of just what I wanted to share and cover in this one. So we've got quite a little bit of time left. We have moved into protocol number 3, which is the inflammation into the periosteum. I got 54 minutes, and then we'll be back for the last one, and I will give you a little bit more information. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. Hope it's informative. Hey there. So it's a little earlier than the hour and 4 minutes because I've had to get up a couple times and move around, and I honestly would say that the reduction in pain to the knee is down to a 0. I have no inflammation right now. I have no pain. I can walk on it. There are a few sensations, so maybe not 0, maybe 1. But when I started out at a 6, 1 is great. So there's still a little over 13 minutes left, and I ran the joint protocol because that one was the next one that was in the list. I was going to run knee after that, but when I went and looked at the knee, for the most part, other than 1 or 2 frequencies, it's all the same frequencies in the joint because the knee is a joint. And since my pain reduction is so much, I'm just going to go ahead and end it with those 3 protocols. So that would have been a total of 2 hours and 24 minutes. And just while this is finishing up, since I thought I was going to do another video, I wanted to come in and just kind of overall, since I've specifically talked about the knee, I wanted to overall talk through, as I'm hoping at this point, you understand what's going on a little bit more, so that when I spew these names out now, as opposed to the original introductory video, you might get it a little bit more. And so my hope is that you reach out to me, because this is something that I really would like to practice and use more than I am using right now. So for any of these kinds of issues, I'm still in practice and play mode. So if you're interested and you want to play around with it, I am happy to connect with you guys. So I just kind of want to talk through some channel A and some channel B, different kinds of combos, overall, instead of just talking specifically about the knee. I'm going to talk through some combo channels that we don't know why they work, but they work. Again, they can't hurt, but they might help. So there's some items there that we can specifically, they're both A and B channels. They don't necessarily have to do with an issue in a tissue. They just work. So then I'll talk through that. And then I'll talk through some of the protocols that I already have on hand of things that we can take care of and treat. So again, 2 channels. So channel A, we can treat things like an allergy reaction. And I'm talking like hives allergy, histamine, swelling, throat, those kinds of allergies, not necessarily seasonal allergies, although the same triggers cause them. But the issue channel A, we can treat allergy reactions, we can treat trauma. So, there's trauma there, not enough to cause anything, but like if you bang it into a wall really hard, that causes trauma to the skin, causes trauma to any arteries that are there, it causes trauma to any muscles that are there. There are muscles, so there are tendons. There are bones, there's the periosteum, there are bones, so there are ligaments. So there's all sorts of stuff going on in this area that have all just had trauma happen. So we can treat that trauma. A lot of times after trauma, things get paralyzed. They kind of shut down. They no longer work optimally. So we can treat paralysis. We can treat concussion, which is nerve trauma, which is pretty severe. That's the first thing I always do in my full sessions. We can treat congestion, chronic inflammation or standard inflammation, a cystic condition. There's emotional components to everything. Fibrosis, hemorrhage or leaking, so the stopping of bleeding. Irritation, hardening, stone, calcium deposits, mineral deposits, mold, toxins, pain, scar, spasms, if it's torn or broken, if it's toxic, if there's an ulceration, all those are different issues that we can program specifically to channel A. All of those issues can be treated into one or more of these tissues. So on the tissue side of things, we can specifically target things within the nervous system. We can target the nervous system as a whole. We can specifically get down and target the forebrain and the cortex. We can specifically target the hindbrain or the cerebellum. We can specifically target the midbrain, the vagus nerve, the whole parasympathetic system, which is our receptors. The plexuses, the different areas where we have groupings of bundles of nerves. The spinal cord, the pineal, can get as deep as the pineal gland. We have other regular, just kind of general tissues. We have the adipose fatty tissue, artery, bone, bursa, which is the cushioning in the joints, cartilage, connective tissue, discs. We can target the disc as a whole, or we can target the nucleus of the disc, which is the part that herniates and starts to flow out. Fascia, joint capsule, ligaments, muscles, nerves, bone, periosteum, tendons, veins. We can target the digestive system. We can specifically target the stomach or pancreas. We can target the urinary system, tissues, endocrine system, respiratory systems as a whole. We can also specifically target the bladder, kidney, or reproductive ovaries, vulva, prostate, endocrine, mammary glands, pineal, thyroid, pituitary, respiratory, the bronchi, the lung, the trachea, the pharynx, the sinuses. So we can release the gunk in the sinuses. I need to try that. Release the gunk in the sinuses, because you can hear me right now. So those are issues in tissues that FSM can work with. We also have some of those just weird combinations that don't have anything to do with an issue or a tissue. Some of those we can do a pain reaction, influenza toxin, common cold toxin, general inflammation. Looks like we have fibrosis, stomach influenza, general toxins. We can do bony tissue, scar tissue, or adhesions, all removing scars. Kind of starts getting into a whole bunch of other stuff I don't want to get into in a video, but you can kind of see where I'm going with that. And then lastly, I'm going to kind of talk through some of the protocols that I have. So as I had said, I've run through all of the acute trauma specific to the knee for this segment. But some other things, the two main ones that I always run are the standard concussion protocol and shock trauma. So I know I talk about that a little bit, both in the FSM and the energy session video that I do. Always the ones that I run on everybody. If you do a full session, you get that included in the full energy session. And if you work with me one-on-one with FSM, that is always the first one I do, whether or not you have ever had an energy session. It's just my go-to. It clears everything. It gets rid of it. It rebalances. It resets. It kicks it into gear. And there we go. And then just kind of close out, we can do things like release the dura around your brain. We can target the sympathetic nervous system as well as the vagus nerve. We can target nerve pain, hamstring sciatic pain, low back pain. Let's see, discogenic pain repair in the discs of the spine, facet pain, in the discs of the spine. Headache, tension, and migraine. The histamine, so like if you are highly allergic to nuts and you eat a nut and you go through that whole anaphylactic, then we can remove all those toxicities with the histamine protocol, and then also with subsequent allergy protocols. We can work with nerves, joints, knee, a lot of things in the brain, calming, clearing toxicity, getting into the limbic system, hypoxia repair, brain fog improvement, PTSD, multiple traumatic brain events. That one's a very, very long one. It is 3.5, almost 4 hours. Typically, I put that into water. My kid will get jugs of water when he feels he needs it. And I will put it into there, and then he'll drink like shots almost, every day for a month, and it works just as well that way as if he were to sit for 4 hours with the pads on him. A lot with emotional pain. So we have a traditional Chinese medicine protocol that goes through the balancing of the elements. We have anger and frustration, anxiety, depression and uplifting emotions, fear, terror, grief, frustration, grounding, frustration on its own, plus anger and frustration. Miracles and transformation, shame, repair, which is a very good, deep-rooted healing one. Exposure to mean people, which I love. And when I work with people with with emotional issues, which I do distantly a lot, I love exposure to mean people. It's a 33-minute protocol, and you feel great afterwards. Then we kind of go into, you've got adrenal support, allergy support, the anesthesia and narcotics clear. It can help with gallbladder, GI support, IBS, irritable bowel, kidney detox, liver detox, lung infection. There's anti-aging. When I was in the clinic, I did a lot of anti-aging treatments. Sleep, thyroid. There are COVID protocols that helped me immensely when I had COVID. Granted, I was around COVID stage 3, so it wasn't very bad, but it was energy draining and staying in bed, just not being able to do anything, and it helped amazingly. And lots of things with infections and toxicity, and then we get into trauma, which we've been talking about through all these videos. So I know this one's probably one of the longer videos, and if you have gotten this far, I thank you so much for bearing with me, and you obviously are interested in what I have to say, at least about FSM. Again, I feel this is a magical device. I would love to start working with it more distantly. So if you've got any of these issues, if you want to play around, again, from an emotional, from an energy balancing standpoint, I do use it in one-on-one sessions, as well as I use it a lot in my meditations and my videos and my grounding stuff. So as I record those, you will get to experience those frequencies yourself. So I look forward to those. I hope you do too. Otherwise, just reach out to me, start asking, PM me, ask me questions, and, maybe there's something we can play around with. I haven't done the trauma protocols like what's getting ready to finish up in a minute. I have not done those distantly. I have not treated anyone with an acute issue distantly. I would love to. So if you have any of the acute injuries we've talked about, reach out to me. Again, can't hurt, might help. It's no skin off your back, and you don't need to do anything on your side at all, except give me a teensy little bit of information and stare at a crystal for a couple minutes. That's all you have to do on your end. All the rest, even the 2 hour and 24 minutes or longer, if there's a fracture involved, none of it you have to do anything on your side. So can't hurt, might help, and you don't have to do anything but maybe 2 minutes worth of work. So I will sign off. Again, I know it's long. Thank you for bearing with me. There's a lot of information in this. Again, to rate myself, I would say, as we are literally finishing up, that my pain went from a 6 to a 1 with the protocols. I'm not having any issues with it, but I am going to keep rice. I am going to keep resting, elevating and icing it. I'm not compressing it because it's not that bad. It's just a tiny little, it was just a tweak, But we all know how those little tweaks turn into big tweaks. So I'm going to do what I preach. And before 24 hours is up, I got microcurrent on it. And it gave me a chance to do a very deep dive, informative video. So I hope you find it interesting. Leave comments, let me know, ask questions. I do think I'm going to do a Q&A video coming up fairly soon at some point, if I haven't already, based on when this loads. So please ask questions, please message me. Please, if you're talking to people or your friends or family and something like a death in the family, or they've been in a car accident and, or, a minor fender bender, even just with a little whiplash, they've had a major breakup, they twist their ankle, they fall and bust their knee on a step, anything, and just send them to me. Send them to me, let them, have them give your name, please, so that I know where they're coming from. And I'm going to work with people, because right now I'm still practicing this. So I'm not ready to start really, throwing this out more than I already use it for my energy sessions. I want to use it more, though. I want this to get out more. I have so many different ways that I want FSM out there, and I just haven't gotten there yet, but I want it out more. So please share, please send your friends to me. And yeah, I'm going to sign off. So again, I'm Rachel Honey, and I love it when you talk frequency to me. Bye, guys.